102 years old, and Hoovie almost burned this thing to the ground. Let's find out what went wrong on this really sweet Packard. Let's get started. This is a 1923 Packard 126, and it was used by a doctor to transport patients and things way back in the day, over 100 years ago. Hoovie has had this for not very long, and he tried to take it on a road trip to go see Jay Leno at the McPherson College here, not too far from here. And some things caught fire, and knowing that the cabin, the framework is made of wood, it could have easily been an inferno. Really bad. I'm glad it didn't happen to him that way. We're able to actually get it repaired already. One thing I want to make sure you guys know, we typically do not take on vehicles this old. We only did it to help Hoovie. Otherwise, I would turn this down flat without even blinking an eye. Parts are so hard to find. If anything were to accidentally go wrong, you're not getting other parts. But Hoovie, I'll make an exception for. Let's take a look around this thing, and then we're going to talk about how cool it is, the history that this car has seen. Here's the front of this beautiful 1923 Packard, and if we read the radiator cap, it says, "Ask the man who owns one." That was their slogan back then, telling you that if you wanted to know how good their cars are, ask the man who owns one. We have our vanity plate, clear back from 1923, a California tag, probably original to the car, and it has 6-volt headlamps, which is why they're so huge. And I believe there in that little chrome area is a place where you can crank start this old engine. They were balling in 1923 because I guarantee you your car or your friend's car rolling on 24s, they ain't got 33s. This is 33s, and the wheels are made out of wood with the beautiful Packard motor car center cap there. Wooden, guys, not aluminum, not magnesium, wood. It does have some pitting and things going on the paint, but we'll just leave it alone because it's original to the car, very likely. You come around to the back, I think it's called a bustle back. I'm not sure, you guys can correct me, but it does have a trunk. We have a latch that we've gotten a key made for, so it can be lockable, but there's a little storage area. And the gas tank is similar to the Ford Pinto situation. It's right in the rear. So if you got rear-ended, gas is going everywhere. And while we're here, take a look at this tire. It's a spare, very likely from the 30s, maybe the 20s, and it's so old, it's like a piece of wood now. It's solid. On this side, the paint is very nice, and you can see it is a 2-door. Let's go ahead and open the hood. Ugh. These open from the side back in the day. And it is a 268 cubic inch inline 6 flathead. One thing that's really cool about this engine, thinking about the block and everything, is you can access the cam right through there. And behind this plate with these little knobs, you can get to the lifters. Very easy to do major work on this car without tearing the intake off, pulling the whole front of the car apart, or all kind of craziness. It's very, very easy to work on. We'll go to the other side of the engine in a moment. I'll show you something really cool that I thought was amazing. But this is our fuel pump. It's kind of a vacuum actuated pump, and it pulls the fuel into there and then runs it down to the carburetor, which is a really strange looking carburetor. It's not like anything that you see on a old lawnmower or anything, a simple carburetor. It has like a glow plug or a heating plug. You guys could explain this. I'm not sure how these old things work, but we did put some new gaskets on it for Hoovie. It was leaking gas pretty bad. It was a poor job to try and reseal it, and we resealed it properly. And then the distributor is really easy to get to. It's right on top of the cylinder head. No, that's not a valve cover. That is the cylinder head. The valves are on the side. That's the valve cover I just showed you. That's the valve cover on the side down there. Let's go look at the other side of the engine. So if you ever needed to have your cylinders bored or honed or sleeved or anything like that, you don't have to pull the whole engine out. You just unbolt the cylinders. From here up can come off. You can even just put a whole new line of cylinders on it. and put it back together. You do not have to pull the whole engine out. I really like the way they did engines back there. They're made to be worked on for decades to come. They don't do that today with today's car. Here's our oil filler. You can pour it down in there. And there's a little turn right there, a little angled piece of metal that you open it. And you fill it with oil until it drips on the ground, and then you know it's full. That's your dipstick. Here's our steering gearbox. And then there is our starter. And you can see some linkages that are on the end of the steering gearbox. And you're like, what in the world is that? Those are some levers that are on the steering wheel. I'll go operate them real quick so you can see them move, and then we'll take a look at them in a minute. This one operates a distributor, timing, retard advance. And this here is just a little canister for lubricating some of the parts in the fuel pump. It's basically just oil that's in there. Back in the day when you're traveling on Route 66, you could pull into a service station, and as long as they had the gaskets and parts, something drastic could happen. They could get you back on the road in that day or the next day. It's not like this is going to be a major tear down, it's going to be on the lift for a week. They could just get in there and fix it. I wish cars are like that today. Oh, and here's our horn, the Ooga horn. Let's take a look at that really sweet interior. It's really small in there. This is a huge car as far as compared to like a Geo Metro or something. It's pretty big, but the interior is as small or smaller than the Geo Metro. Let's take a look.
So the wizard's going to help me in just a second get the seat in place, but before he did, I thought I would show you the lovely stow and go we had from 1923. There we go. We have stow and go in minivans. Well, we had, I guess, a precursor to that in our Packard here. Go ahead, dear. Give me a seat. Thank you. So as you can see, they did not have standards of keeping the seat in place and seat belts during that time. That didn't happen. So that is how the seat was from the factory. I wish I could get the entire steering wheel into the screen, but I can't. It's massive. And note, it is wood and looking really good. We can see here that it's got all those things that Wizard was pushing a second ago. We have the retard, the close, the open, and the drive range. And these will turn, and they're moving stuff out there. So nice. Our gauge cluster is off to the side, more in front of the passenger than the driver, but you can see there that it says it has 46,605 miles. Our analog clock is not displaying the correct time, and we have a gauge for the amperes. Not exactly sure how they would have pronounced that 100 years ago, but it's showing the voltage and our oil pressure as well. As we should move up to where our dash would be, our dash literally is the width of this wood right here. That is the dash because the windshield is pushed out currently. I've never had a mobile windshield in a vehicle yet, but here we go. We've got it today. And we have this vent that can allow air to get sucked in and blow inside if it's a cold day and you do not want your windshield blowing over you. Yes, this is our passenger seat. This is it. This tiny little thing is our passenger seat. Comfort wasn't always guaranteed, at least if you're a patient in this, well, maybe doctor's kind of ambulance. This does fold down, so you can actually kind of lay someone in this area. We can look at our door card. We have obviously the manual window. We have a little pocket for, maps and whatnot. One thing I find very interesting is, we have the stow and go under the seat. Well, 1923, they were also putting batteries in really weird locations underneath seats. So below our passenger foot is the battery. Yeah, they weren't original putting them in weird places in today's cars. They were doing it over 100 years ago. One thing that's always interesting is when you get an old car, you can get some of the weird literature that comes with them. And here is a service bill that looks like they had an oil change for $3.30. The whole bill after all these things were done was $9.14. Just like today's cars, we don't have much footroom back here as well. And it's even less space if we look between the driver and the back passenger seats as well. But the condition of the cloth is in pretty good condition. Needs some good cleaning. There's lots of little things here and there that came with the car when Hoovy dropped it off, including the rodent catcher. But We have a shelf here. We open this up. So we have a little, well, I don't know if you call this the glove box, the storage more, I'm not sure. But here we go. And of course, a few extra parts because, well, when you find them for this age of car, you buy them. We do have a lovely large rear window. And as the wizard said, note, we have wood there. We have wood there along the back passenger's window. We have wood here everywhere. So everywhere you look, you're seeing more and more wood, which would definitely have lit up this car if that fire had gotten out of control. But as we look at our headliner, everything is in good shape. We do have a really pretty Art Deco dome light in here. But as we move around, we have a very simple mirror. There's no flipping for night mode, day mode, anything like that, and it's just literally clipped in place. But next to that, we have our Bosch windshield wiper. Very clearly stated that it is Bosch, and to operate it, you just need to control it here. Obviously, there's no power, so those windshield wipers are not going to do anything, but there is our windshield wiper. Nice. Oh, and there it is. There he is, right there. He literally connects to here and there. I'm wondering almost if that could have been even an aftermarket item added to the car after it was purchased. So here we are back at our steering wheel, and I love how the center section almost looks like the steering controls for a boat. And here, if there's power to the car, that would be going ooga. But there's no power into the car right now because the key's not on, but you get the gist of it. So enough of this interior talk. Let's see what almost burned this car to the ground.
So the battery on this is 6 volts, and it's really strange compared to modern cars. It's what is called a positive ground system, which means the positive on the battery goes to the frame. The negative powers all the electronics. It's backwards. When Hoovy put a battery in here, he accidentally hooked those up backwards, where negative was going to ground. It normally would make sense on a modern car, but he drove it somehow, it actually ran. But as he was driving, smoke started billowing. If you go watch his video, there's a link in the description below. It's smoking, it's smoking. He caught it just in time and unhooked the battery. It could have lit this thing on fire. There's wiring all under the dash, and this was the remnants of it. These are the days of cloth wiring. This cloth that wraps around the metal wire, not plastic or rubber or anything like that. You can see it got so hot, it just disintegrated and burned off all the insulation, and these wires were touching. And it was starting to cascade, kind of like the domino effect, where one melts and touches this one, and then this one melts, and it was starting to get through into this one before he got the battery disconnected. One thing I'm going to do is give one of these to Hoovy and put it in the car. This is those spray fire extinguishers. I've used them many times where there's been an accident happen, and it works perfect every time. So set that right there. But Mrs. Wizard will show you guys where the burned wires were. There's kind of a header on the firewall on the back side. You can actually see where we've replaced some of the wiring. So we've got them labeled and getting them put in the proper position. Those are modern wires, and we'll put some sheathing over it that kind of looks like cloth, but it'll hide that. But at least now they won't catch on fire. When you get an older car, 1950 or get older than that, for sure, you get into vehicles with cloth insulated wires. And really, by all rights, you should go through and redo the whole car, but most people don't want to do it because it can cost thousands and thousands of dollars. But just be careful. Make sure you do an inspection of all the wiring that's under the dash and in the engine bay to make sure there's nothing. It crumbles. The cloth gets old and crumbles into a powder. And then you got bare metal that can touch each other. So that's what almost burned this car down. Let's talk about the really cool features of this car. So one thing that's interesting that most of you may not know on 1920s cars, we see a band style brake, just like the days of the wagons on the Santa Fe Trail or Oregon Trail. It was just a band around a drum. That's all it was. And then in the front wheel, we see no brakes. They had the brake delete option on this one.
Brake delete? Really, Wizard?
No, it didn't even have front brakes, bro. They didn't even come with them at all. It was too complicated to try to figure out how to get mechanical brakes to be able to do on a suspension. They really hadn't got into hydraulic brakes yet. So the back brakes were the only brakes that you had. It was 5 or 10 years later they started getting into having front brakes and everything. But in 23, most, if not all cars just had back brakes, nothing in the front. Now don't worry, these cars are not getting on the highway back in the day and doing 95 miles an hour. They mostly went around town, they might go 40, 50 tops. They weren't even geared to go much faster than that. There were manual transmissions, so you could use the gearing as an engine brake and downshift. And again, they weren't flying on a highway at really high speed. So it isn't a big deal that it only had back brakes. They actually worked pretty good. So I definitely wanted to do a video for you guys to show you this really cool Packard. And it used to be a doctor's car. And Mrs. Wizard showed you guys in the interior review that you could lay down the front passenger seat and possibly lay a patient there and take them to the hospital or the doctor or whatnot. And that's basically what this vehicle did. Packard was really a well-known name, and it was a higher level car. It wasn't a Rolls-Royce, but it was there with Cadillacs and some of those cars, very, very high-end. They're not your Model A basic bare bones car. They were a very high-end expensive car. Doctors had them, and people of that level would buy one of these. Think of the things that this car has been through and seen. The oldest person alive today, this car has seen everything they have seen, and maybe even more. It saw the Great Depression. It saw World War II. It saw the Korean War. It saw the Cold War, the Vietnam War, the 60s, the hippies all, during the Vietnam era, the 70s, the disco era, the 80s, the hair metal bands, the 90s, grunge rock, and some of the really sweet rap music that was coming out in the 80s and 90s. 2000s, 2020, here we are, all those eras. This car has been through all of them. That's really, really crazy. I'm impressed that this car has lived to be 102 years old, and once we finish up the wiring, it'll be back on the road. It can drive again. It is a running, usable, drivable car. There is not a single car you can buy in 2025, I don't care what brand it is or how much money you spent, that will still be running and driving in 102 years. It's not going to happen. Absolutely not. There's computers and modules and all the things that when they fail, nobody's going to make them anymore. 70 years from now, you say, I need an ECM for my 2008 Audi. They're going to be like, pfft, those are gone, man. This car is still here today. It's a testament to the way they built them. They made them to last this long, and it did. If you're curious what kind of tools we're going to use to work on this Packard or any other car in the shop, check our Amazon affiliates link in the description below. A lot of the tools we use in the shop are for sale there, and if you purchase anything, we get a small cut. I really do appreciate it. Make sure to hit the subscribe button because we have a full week, which means tons more videos for you guys. Thanks for watching.